With the popularity of arcade shooters declining, the only real game that has kept this particular genre afloat is Call of Duty. So proclaiming to be a Call of Duty killer, to me at least, feels a bit outdated. The last I recall a game being considered as a Call of Duty killer was actually Halo Infinite, and that game's popularity has seemed to fizzled out before that could even happen. And then Mark Rubin comes along and says, hold my beer. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Push to Talk, the series where I, Lewis, talk about particular topics in and around the gaming sphere to help keep you guys in the loop. XDefiant's beta has been out for about a week now, and I've been playing the absolute hell out of it. I honestly haven't had this much fun casually playing an FPS game since Black Ops 2, and I know for a fact that I am not the only one. Many professional Call of Duty players and content creators have praised the devs for pretty much doing what the folks over at Activision have just refused to do for CoD for years. So in today's episode, I'll be talking about the fundamentals of the game, my thoughts and impressions, and whether or not it will kill CoD. Spoiler, it will, just not in the way that you think. But just before we get into that, I need to let you guys know that we at Kakuchopurei are collaborating with Supreme to bring to you gamer profile t-shirts. These t-shirts are fully customizable as you can select 3 out of 24 different icons that best represent you as a gamer. So just head over to supreme.store/RUGame to select whichever icons you want on your shirt and show off that you are indeed a gamer. Because it's 2023 and it's cool to be a gamer now. And without further ado, let's talk about XDefiant. So, in case you've been living under a rock for the past week, XDefiant has released their closed beta and I've been playing the absolute out of it. Originally meant to be a part of the Tom Clancy franchise, it later became its own IP which features factions from various other Ubisoft titles. The face and spokesperson for the game is none other than Mark Rubin, former executive producer for Infinity Ward who played a significant role in the development of the original Modern Warfare trilogy and Call of Duty Ghosts, which explains my first impression of the game. It feels like an old school CoD, which I love. This is mainly due to the movement. Unlike modern CoDs, there's no tactical sprint, either walking or sprinting, that's it. One thing I'm still getting used to though is there being no prone, meaning you can't lay down, which now that I think about it is probably for the best. The last thing this game needs is players prone camping corners. While it does feel extremely similar to older CoD games, it does differ in quite a few ways, the most obvious being abilities. Now, CoD has had quote-unquote abilities in the form of specialists from Black Ops 3 and 4, but in XDefiant they function more like how they do in Overwatch, but are still very much different. When you enter a match, you can select one of 4 classes and factions available right now. And yes, players are able to play more than one of the same class. Each class has a passive ability and access to 2 separate active abilities which you must choose one to play with. And then of course you have your Ultra, which is just XDefiant's term for ultimates. Right now in the beta, you have access to the Healing class, the Libertad from Far Cry 6, the Control class, the Phantoms from Ghost Recon, the Spy class, Echelon from Splinter Cell, and the Damage class, the Cleaners from The Division. There is another 5th class that isn't available in the beta right now, but will be available at launch, which is the Hacker class, DedSec from Watch Dogs. I'm sure in time there'll be many more classes and abilities that will be introduced. Personally, I would love to see a sort of class or faction that kind of references Assassin's Creed or even Haze. Does anyone even remember Haze? But yeah, how you compose your team with the classes available will definitely determine how you win or lose. Certain team compositions will work better for different game modes. Speaking of which, there are 4 separate game modes. There's Escort. Essentially, it's just the payload game mode if you're familiar with Overwatch or TF2. Then there's Zone Control. If you've played Battlefield or CoD's Ground War, then you'll know this game mode. Then there's Domination. It's exactly the same as in Call of Duty. And then Occupy, which is XDefiant's version of Call of Duty's Hardpoint. Contest the zone moves to a separate area on the map every minute. First to 250 wins. Pretty simple. Now let's get into the meat of the gameplay. How do the guns feel and shoot? Nostalgic is the best way to describe it. I think the most notable aspect of how the guns feel and shoot is the aim assist. It's become a common topic of discussion that CoD's aim assist is getting a bit out of hand lately, making it way easier and more accessible to newer players. The pull and follow in CoD's aim assist makes it extremely hard to determine who's better and who isn't. In XDefiant, that just isn't the case. If you're a controller player and a veteran of FPS games, then you may have heard of the term left stick aiming. In case you don't know, all that means is that you use the movement stick to track players rather than solely focusing on just the aiming stick. XDefiant feels more like a left stick FPS game where aim assist is a lot weaker in comparison to modern CoDs. But hey, you don't have to hear it from an average run-of-the-mill controller player like me, hear it from a former Call of Duty world champion like TP.
Aim assist in this is weaker than COD. COD's is just insane right now though. That's what you guys got to remember. So from COD 2019 on, that's the aim assist we got on that game now. And it really dumbs down the game. It's like hard to like stand out because everybody is shooting such a massive percentage higher. And then you add in like the extended range of where aim assist kicks in as well. So like on some of the older CODs, this game feels very similar to that fact where, you know, let's say we're taking a gunfight all the way over here. Like old CODs, it was way more like left stick like this to track people, right? Because you couldn't rely on the aim assist at like super far ranges. Now it's just like, oh, just beam everyone perfect all the time. Like, all right.
Another popular topic of discussion is that there's no skill-based matchmaking. Those who have been following XDefiant since it got announced will know this. But if you don't, Mark Rubin further confirmed this in a Twitter thread saying, there is no skill-based matchmaking on matchmaking. We do use MMR to balance teams once the lobby is made. If you are a new player, your MMR hasn't been calculated yet, so results may be a little off until you play more. And we have MMR per mode. As a long-time Call of Duty player, this is amazing to hear. Skill-based matchmaking is something that we've wanted to be removed from casual game modes for the longest time now. And honestly, I think it plays a massive factor into why I'm currently so addicted to XDefiant. Yeah, of course, I'll go into a game that's a bit harder than usual, but it's completely random. On average, I'd say that it happens every 1 in 5 games, which is good enough for me. Another thing that XDefiant has done that Call of Duty just refuses to do is red dots on the minimap. Although this can be seen as a very small feature, for experienced CoD players, this is heaven. In case you don't know, traditionally in Call of Duty, when you shot an unsilenced weapon, you'd appear as a red dot on the enemy's minimap. This feature is non-existent in modern CoDs, and pros have been asking it back for years now. And for some unknown reason, Activision just refuses to reintroduce it. And because of these things, there's no surprise that XDefiant has been given the moniker of Call of Duty if Activision listened to their player base. Obviously, Mark Rubin's influence plays a massive factor in the Call of Duty feel of the game. But I also think that having a team of former professional Call of Duty players as gameplay consultants also plays a key factor. One member of that team is Patrick Price, otherwise known as Aches, who is a former 2-time Call of Duty world champion. So obviously, his input is extremely valuable. Ubisoft has hit the nail on the head with a lot of these key features, and honestly, there's not a lot that needs to be improved upon fundamentally. Obviously, the movement can feel a bit clunky at times, bullets register inconsistently, and loadouts don't save, but this is a closed beta after all. These bugs are to be expected. The whole point of a beta is for us to notice these bugs and give feedback to the devs. In terms of gameplay features that could be improved upon, this might be nitpicking, but I'd like to see a camo grind similar to that of Black Ops 2. Whether or not that'll be a feature when the game officially releases, I don't know. But what I do know is that Mark Rubin has promised that ranked play will be available at launch. Thank God. No more having to wait 3 to 5 months just for a ranked play feature. Speaking of which, the ranked playlist should have just been made available, so I know what I'll be doing this weekend. But now it's time to ask the question that we've all been asking ourselves. Will XDefiant kill CoD? Like I said at the beginning of the video, the arcade shooter genre has been on the decline for the past few years now. This type and feel of FPS have begun to lean towards battle royales. Respawn game modes just haven't been cutting it. I think a lot has been attributed to skill-based matchmaking, making these game modes seem a lot less appealing. But with XDefiant, you just don't get that. Plus, when it officially releases, it's going to be free to play. So do I think that XDefiant will kill Call of Duty? not exactly. I think it will replace CoD as the go-to casual arcade shooter. With the direction that Call of Duty has been going, year after year, they seem to prioritize Warzone more and more. Yes, since Rank Play released, Warzone has been kind of on the decline lately, but trends come and go and come back again, so I can definitely see Warzone picking back up. So all in all, I think that Call of Duty will become the go-to Battle Royale arcade shooter, and XDefiant will become the go-to casual arcade shooter. But what do you think? Have you been playing XDefiant? How are you enjoying it? Do let me know down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to like, subscribe if you want to see more content just like this, and obviously ding dong that notification bell to be notified when we upload next, because we upload videos every single week. Thank you all for watching. My name's been Lewis from Kakuchopurei, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.